Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to do a giant unhaul. The amount of books I have here is embarrassing. I have so like I cannot. I'm still thinking in my head how I'm going to do this thumbnail because it is way too many books, honestly. So I think over 50, but I think I'm gonna count them and put in the title how many books there actually are here. Since it is so many books, I'm not really gonna tell you a whole lot about them. Some of them I've read, some of them I haven't. And I'm just gonna tell you the title, maybe a brief synopsis about what it's about, give you a reason why I'm unhauling it. And this is really gonna be in no particular order. If there is like series together, I'm gonna try to get the series together and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm just gonna randomly pick up piles here. Okay, so the first one is The Glittering Court by Rochelle Mead. The reason I never read this book, but I bought it because this was one of the first things Rochelle Mead published after The Vampire Academy, and that is one of my favorite series. And I heard mixed things about it, but since I also heard some good things, I bought it. But since then, I never really felt the urge to really read it. And I bought it around the time it was published, which was in 2016, so it has been on my shelves for years. So therefore, I'm just unhauling it because I don't think I'll ever read this book. Changeling by Philippa Gregory. This book I bought in like this warehouse sale that was going on in my town like every year. And I think they still do it, but I saw this and I recognized the author, but this is her young adult book. And, you know, I never really felt the urge to read it, but this guy on the cover is really hot. I don't know if you can see that. I think that is why I kept it, but I don't even know what this is about. But I'm pretty sure it's historical fiction, and I didn't really hear the most amazing things about it, so yeah, I'm never gonna read this. And as hot as this guy is, not hot enough for me to keep it and read it. Because You Love to Hate Me by A. Marie. This is an anthology, and this is a blast from the past. If you've been on BookTube as long as I have, you'll remember this book. This was published in 2017. And this was a collaboration between authors and booktubers. So some of them don't even make videos anymore. So Benjamin of Tomes, Book Utopia, Sasha, Witty Novels, Little Book Owl, Peruse Project, she still makes videos, Poland Bananas Books, Christine. So yeah, but then it was published. First of all, I don't really love anthologies. I've never given an anthology 5 stars. I just don't love them. And I also haven't heard the greatest things about this book, so I never really read it. I did try, but ultimately I was like, I could care less. Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. So I read the Divergent series by her, which I'm going to show you those next because I'm also unhauling them. And then this book came out, once again, some mixed reviews, and the Divergent series, it's not my all-time favorite series. So, and like I said, since this was so mixed, and I never really felt the urge to read this book. I believe this is a sci-fi book, but actually set in space as opposed to a dystopian book. So yeah, I bought it, but I really have no interest in reading it. Speaking of the Divergent series by Veronica Roth, I really enjoyed these books when they first came out, especially Divergent. I thought Divergent was such a fun book. I, like everybody else, fell in love with 4. I thought he was so hot, and it was such like I thought the world was creative. I really enjoyed my time. I really loved the romance. Insurgent, I also really liked. Allegiant, I don't know. Maybe if I reread it now, I might like it, but by the time, I liked it more than a lot of other people, but I think I gave it 4 stars, and then I also bought 4, which I also enjoyed. Since then, this series is just not a series I think about often. I watched the movies. Once again, I really enjoyed the first one. I thought the actor who played 4 was really hot. But other than that, it's not a series I think about often. I don't think I'll ever reread this. If I want to reread a dystopian young adult book from that time, I will always prefer reading Hunger Games as opposed to the Divergent series. So yeah, and they've been on my shelves for such a long time, and I never really felt the urge to reread. And since I don't have unlimited space on my bookshelves, I figured let's just make room, because if I'm not going to reread them and I don't really think about them that often, then why am I keeping them? Simon and the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This I read years ago and I did really enjoy it, but since then, once again, not really a book I think about often. I did read the second book, which I enjoyed very more, so I did keep that book, but this one was fine. I did enjoy it, and I feel like, let me just unhaul it and maybe some other person will enjoy it more. I do have to say, like, as much as there are some young adult books on my shelves that I will happily reread and love, these contemporary young adults, it's just the older I get, the less interested I am in these stories in general, but also in definitely rereading them. I feel like this book will do more good being out there in the world as opposed to just on my bookshelves where I'll never reread them. Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. This I just bought. I think this was on sale, and I figured I bought, I think, at the beginning of when I started reading. Once again, I bought the movie tie-in edition, which I normally never do unless it's a book I really love, where I buy it as like a second copy. I never really watched the movie either, and yeah, it has just been sitting and collecting dust on my shelves. The Treachery of Beautiful Things by Ruth Francis Long. This actually I read for a vlog and I did enjoy it, but in the end I gave it 3 stars. I don't think I'll ever think about this book. So once again, just to make room on my shelves. What I want my bookshelves to be are books that I still need to read, or books that I loved enough for me to reread them, and I don't think I'll ever reread this. So I usually just get rid of books that got 3 stars or less. The Siren by Kira Cass. This I read a long time ago. I think I kept it because I really enjoyed this cover. Yeah, I enjoyed it at the time. It's not a bad book, but ever since I read it, I never, like, I don't think I've ever really thought about this book ever since I read it. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever reread it. So off it goes. Queens of Geek by Jen Wild. This I think I bought when there was like a challenge to read as many diverse books as possible. You could get a bingo for like every type of diversity, which was a good initiative. But I think I bought it specifically for that, and then I never really read it, and then nothing in me really was interested to read this book. It's about a vlogger, about like this Comic-Con or this VidCon type of situation, which I was not really interested in. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. So this is kind of similar to Simon and the Homo Sapiens Agenda. I enjoyed this book when I read it, but I just think a teenager in the world will get more out of this than I will. I've read it and I think I should just hand it off and see if somebody else will enjoy this book. The Devouring Grey by Christine Lynn Herman. This I read and I did really enjoy it. But once again, I didn't even continue on with this series because I couldn't really care less. It is a very atmospheric read. You know, I just want to hand it off and see if somebody else will maybe perhaps enjoy it more than I did. The Light Years by Cass Morgan. I got this book, I think, in a Fairy Loot or another subscription service, and I never really picked it up. It was just collecting dust on my shelves, and I was like, let me just get rid of it. So that's what I'm doing. Blood and Chocolate by Annette Curtis Claus. This one I started to read. I think I read it either at the beginning of this year or in the beginning of last year. And I got halfway through and I hated this book so much, and I hated the main character. So I kind of was spoiled myself, and I was very glad I made the decision to DNF. So, and since this cover is one of the ugliest covers I've ever seen, I'm just getting rid of it. I don't think anybody will really enjoy this book, but it's about werewolves, and normally I love those, so maybe that is why I was extra disappointed. Next is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I own other editions of Wuthering Heights. This one I don't enjoy. I think they published this around the time that Twilight came out in like a similar cover, and yeah, I don't enjoy this edition, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. Poison Princess by Cressley Cole. This one I read to read Cressley Cole's backlist and also to read the books I own that were published before 2014. This one was also a DNF. I didn't enjoy it at all, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. Wintertown by Stephen Emond. This one I bought because of a booktuber, and she really enjoyed it, and so I bought it, and I did really enjoy the concepts because there's a lot of illustrations here, and you know, it sounded like fun, but I never really had the urge to pick it up. And then I looked on Goodreads, and it has a very, very low average rating, so I figured there are plenty of other books that I probably will enjoy more than this one. Like this, I think will the highest it will get will probably be a 3 for me. So in that case, let me just get rid of it and see if there are other books that I enjoy more. I'm sorry for the lighting. I don't know what's going on. I think it's just because it's getting colder and the sun just doesn't know what to do. No, that didn't help at all. Anyway, The Extraordinary Secrets of April, May, and June. This I also read because for the books I really want to read that were published before 2014. This one got 3 stars. It was fine. It was enjoyable. I had really high hopes because I really thought this was going to be like a Charmed episode because there's like 3 sisters who all have different powers. At the end of the day, it was just like a young adult contemporary written before 2014, written in 2011 with a little bit of paranormal twist. So yeah, not really what I'm reading nowadays. Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. This I bought. I think I read it last Christmas and I really, really did not enjoy this book at all. Oh my God, what is up with this lighting? Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like this love story. I didn't like the hero, and the heroine I also didn't love, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler. This one, once again, I read for the books I really want to read that were published before 2014, and this should have been an easy one because there's like a lot of illustrations here, but I DNF'd it because I really couldn't care less. Once again, I don't think I should be reading young adult contemporaries because, I mean, I'm a 30-year-old woman now, and not that there's anything wrong with 30-year-olds reading young adult, it's just that is not really something I enjoy anymore. If I'm going to be reading a contemporary, I'd prefer it to be adult. Young adult fantasies, paranormals, sci-fis, I do still really enjoy. It's just, I think I've come to the conclusion that young adult contemporaries are just not really for me anymore. Then maybe a controversial one. I'm getting rid of From Blood and Ash and Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. So I read From Blood and Ash and I did enjoy it, although I didn't really seem to love it as much as other people seem to. But I figured, you know, because I felt like I know Jennifer L. Armentrout as a paranormal author, and I think she does that well. And this was her first, like, fantasy book. Well, I don't know if it was her first, but it was the first fantasy book I read by her. And I felt like I think in a fantasy book, the world, even if it's a fantasy romance, the world building needs to be on point because I need to believe in your story. And I didn't feel like her world building was on point. I hated that she used actual names that we use in real life, like Pompeii and Macedonia. That completely took me out of the story. Plus, I didn't really understand this story at all, like the lore behind it and everything, which I think is also very important. Plus, it's really big and it really doesn't need to be. But anyway, I gave it a chance. I started Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. I think I read the first 150 pages and I didn't really care anymore. So that's why I'm getting rid of both of them. Young Jane Young by Gabrielle Zevin. This I actually did enjoy. This follows like a Monica Lewinsky type scandal. You follow this girl who is in politics and then she starts dating a married man who's like a big politician, and word gets out and people blame her. Very interesting, but I don't think I'm ever gonna reread it, so that's why I'm passing it on. And then Some Girls Bite by Chloe Neal. Once again, I read it because this was published before 2014. I did enjoy it, but I never really thought about this book. This is a series of a bunch of books and I never really felt compelled to continue on. So if that's the case, then why am I holding on to the first book? So that's why I'm getting rid of it. Now for a couple mass market paperbacks. The first one is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. This book I read in the beginning of the year. This is the worst book I read. I hated it so much, even though it's like only over, like, I think it's like 150 pages. I didn't enjoy it at all. I had to force my way through it. It took me so long to read, even though it's such a tiny book. I don't understand why people love this book so much, but hey ho. After You by Jojo Moyes. This one somebody gave me for my birthday. I don't think they realize what kind of books I'm really into, even though I do own Me Before You, and I'm debating whether or not I should ever read this. But I don't think, even if I read this, I don't think I'm ever going to be interested in the sequel. So that's why I'm getting rid of it. I mean, it was really sweet of them, but I mean, I'm never going to read it. Next is My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult. Once again, I bought this because it was probably on sale when I first started reading books. And I did really love the movie. Like, I cried like a little baby when it came out. But I think, you know, I already saw the movie do I really care about reading this book? Same for P.S. I Love You. Watched the movie, did really enjoy it. And I figured I probably want to read the books, but I bought it like 10 years ago and I never really read them. So that's why I'm getting rid of both of them. I'm really sorry for the lighting, guys. I think this is just the winter. Maybe I need to buy a ring light, but I don't have one yet. So Warcross by Marie Lu. This one, I read it. I didn't enjoy it. I'm never going to reread it. My True Love Gave to Me, once again, an anthology, which I don't really love those. But this one is, it's an anthology I enjoyed the most. But still, I thought I held on to it because I figured maybe I'll reread it again in the winter sometime. Never really did. Never really felt the urge to. Forgive My Fins by Tara Lynn Childs. This has been on my shelves for years and I never picked it up. And it's like about this mermaid young adult book. If I haven't picked it up for so long, I don't think I ever will. Blood and Sand by C.V. Wick. This book, I read half of it and I DNF'd it. And part of me wanted to see if I would ever pick it up, but I never really did. So that's why I'm getting rid of it now. Once and For All by Sarah Dessen. This I bought because it was on sale. I never really read a Sarah Dessen book and I honestly think that my time for reading her has come and gone. So, once again, young adult contemporary. I don't think I'll ever read it. Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. I didn't really love this book, which makes me sad because I know a lot of people do. Part of me wanted to hang on to it. Once I watched the movie, maybe I'd love this book more, but I don't think I will. So, I do really love the cover though, but that's not enough for me to keep this book. Elusive by Emily Lloyd Jones. I really enjoyed this book. I did really love the concepts about superheroes and about this virus that turns you into a superhero or gives you powers. If you become a hero is up to you, I guess. But there was a sequel that I don't think I'll ever read. And that is for me always an indication. Usually I am very diligent about if I start a series to continue on with it. And if I DNF a series, then I should really unhaul the book because that means I didn't really love this enough to continue on. So therefore, why am I keeping it? Easy and Breakable by Tamara Weber. So I read Easy years ago and I really, really loved it. So I bought Breakable, but I never read Breakable and it has been on my shelves for years now. So I'm just getting rid of both of them. It was a very powerful book when I first read it, but I don't think I'll ever reread this one or continue on with this one. So there's that. Next, Dash and Lily's Book of Dares and the 12 Days of Dash and Lily. I read Dash of Lily's Book of Dares in like a day. I really did enjoy it years ago. And then when this book came out, I had every intention to read it, but I never really did. So, and now I don't think I'll ever reread this one or read this one. Another Christmas Story, Let It Snow. I really did enjoy this. This was like 3 stories that were kind of connected. But once again, a lot of Christmases have come and gone since I read this book for the first time and I never had the urge to reread it. Dry by Neil and Jared Schusterman. I did really enjoy this book. It's a dystopian book. And it's a very realistic one. Very, very good book. But I don't think I'll ever reread this. I feel like I am repeating myself a lot, but that is like my reasonings are not that deep for why I'm getting rid of most of these. Next, I'm getting rid of 2 Nicola Yoon books. The first one is Everything. The next one is The Sun Is Also a Star. This one I read and I enjoyed it, but it was not as good as other people made it seem. The Sun Is Also a Star I did really enjoy, but once again, 2 young adult contemporaries that I rarely think about. I did enjoy them when I read them, and I think somebody else will enjoy them more. Slammed by Colleen Hoover. This one I read years ago. And it was fine, but I never continued on with the series, and I really don't know why I held on to this for so long. I believe there's new covers for this book that are way prettier than this one. Then there's this series, the Dreaming Anastasia series. Once again, I think I bought them. I heard one booktuber talk about it years ago, and I was kind of interested because it is, I believe, about Princess Anastasia. And then I saw it at this like big outlet for books. And they were very cheap. I think I bought them for like €2 each, but I never read them. So they've been collecting dust on my shelves ever since. So the first one is Dreaming Anastasia. I think the second book is Haunted and the third book is Anastasia Forever. Passenger by Alexander Bracken. So I read the very popular Alexandra Brackham book, her dystopian, and I hated it and actually vowed that I was never really going to read any of her books. But then this book became I used to be part of this young adult book club, and this was a pick. So, and then I bought it and I was planning on reading it, but I never went to that meeting and I never read this, and I would never have bought this book on my own, so that's why I'm getting rid of it now. Stay by Deb Coletti, once again, young adult contemporary book that I've never read and I don't think I ever will. Stolen by Lucy Christopher. This book I actually did read. It's about this girl that gets kidnapped and then, you know, you see her with this guy that kidnapped her. It was interesting. It did definitely made me think about things back when, but once again, never really felt the urge to reread this book. Paper Towns by John Green. This is my least favorite John Green that I've read, so I don't think I'll ever reread this one. Fallen by Lauren Kate. This book has been getting mixed reviews ever since it was published, but some people really did love it, so I bought it, and I tried to read it. Oh, there's still a bookmark in there. I got to page 108. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever read this book. I kept it a long time because I did really enjoy this cover, but that's not really a reason to keep a book, in my opinion. So, yeah. Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. This book I enjoyed, but I don't think I'll ever reread it. So, yeah, and I think somebody else will definitely enjoy it. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I read this and I didn't really love it, but I also actually got the beautiful special edition hardback from a friend for my birthday. So I'm keeping that one and getting rid of this one. If this book was a book I really loved, I would have kept both. Another John Green book, Looking for Alaska. Even though I enjoyed it more than Paper Towns, I rarely think about this book and I don't think I'll ever reread it. Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This book, a part of me wanted to read this book for a vlog because I really don't think I'm gonna love it. I remember at the time when it came out, some people really, really loved it and other people thought it was kind of like a mixture of things we've already seen in the past. That it was copying a lot of like bigger books at the time. And since I never really felt the urge to pick it up, and let me see when this book came out. Yeah, 2015. I think I bought it in 2015 or 2016 and I never picked it up. So that should tell you enough. By Your Side by Casey West. Once again, I enjoyed it when I read it, but another young adult contemporary book that I'll never reread. Now for some graphic novels and comics. The first one is The Wicked and the Divine. This I kept for a long time because I was in love with the illustrations. These illustrations are so unbelievably beautiful. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, but this was like the most confusing graphic novel, or the most confusing comic ever. So yeah, I'm just getting rid of it now. Next is Rat Queens. I know people who loved it really loved the first couple and like the first couple ones because I know that at one point they changed, I think, illustrators, but I didn't really enjoy the first one anyway. So I figured if I didn't even enjoy the first one that a lot of people really love, then let me just cut my losses because comics are very expensive. Next is American Born Chinese. I did enjoy this, but I don't think I'll ever reread it. So I figured I'd rather somebody else, you know, get this one and enjoy it. Same goes for El Defo. I did enjoy it, but I feel like another kid, especially because this is, I believe it's a middle grade. I think another kid will get more out of this than I will keeping it on my shelves. Next are a couple celebrity memoirs. I don't know why I bought these. First one is Yes Please by Amy Poehler. I think it's because it was very popular when it first came out, but I'm not even a fan of hers. Like, it's not like I've watched a couple things she's in, but it's not like I am like a big Amy Poehler fan. So I don't know why I bought this. Ed Sheeran, I am a big Ed Sheeran fan. I've been to his concert. I think he's a very great singer. I love him. But I never read this book and I don't think I ever will. Next are a couple J.K. Rowling books. So J.K. Rowling, controversial figure nowadays. I have a couple Harry Potter editions that I'll never get rid of, but I don't think I'll read any book by her that she comes out with, or any other book that are not Harry Potter. So the first one is actually Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. This one I hated when I first read it, so I don't need to keep this on my shelf. Same for Casual Vacancy. I never read this book, but I'd always planned on reading it because I was such a J.K. Rowling fan back in the day. But even when it came out, it had some mixed reviews, and now that she is somebody I don't want to support, I'm just getting rid of this book because I would have never had an interest in this book if it wasn't for the author, and since I no longer really want to support this author, I'm just getting rid of this book. Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. This I enjoyed when I read it the first time, but I think I read it 10 years ago. Winger by Andrew Smith. This I bought, and it was on my shelves for a long time because this spine is I really enjoyed this spine, but I don't even know what this book is about. I don't think it's for me, so I'm getting rid of it. Between the Lines by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer. This I thought I was going to be interested in because I think the formatting is very interesting. It has different colors, the writing, plus there's illustrations. I believe it's about somebody that comes out of a story and becomes an actual person. It sounds very interesting, but the ratings are not that high, so I don't think I'm going to enjoy it. Next are 2 editions for Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. So this is the regular one, and this is the special collector's edition, which is very pretty. But I enjoyed Fangirl when I first read it, but I don't think I enjoyed it as much as other people really seem to. So it has been on my shelves for years. I even bought the special collector's edition, as you can see, but I never really felt the urge to reread it. If there's a Rainbow Rowell book that I will reread, it's Eleanor and Park, and definitely not Fangirl. Replica and Ringer by Lauren Oliver. So I read Replica and I really did enjoy it. This is a very interesting book because it's actually, like, this part is about Replica. So the first half of this book, and then once you flip it, you read Gemma's story. Oh, sorry. There's Lyra's story and Gemma's story. And actually, so you have to actually flip the book. And there's a bunch of different ways to read this book, and I really enjoyed those books. I love when books play with formatting or a book is told in an interesting perspective, so I did really enjoy this book. It's about clones, I think. So since I did really enjoy this book, I bought the second book, but I never really felt the urge to read the sequel, so yeah. And since I never really think about Replica anyway, I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but it's definitely not a favorite, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. Girl Online by Zoe Sugg. So I used to be a Zoe fan. I did enjoy her videos. And then I actually heard surprisingly good things about Girl Online because I don't really love reading books by, like, written by celebrities or like online personas unless they get really good reviews. And I felt like this one really got them. But I never picked it up, and I don't think I ever will now. A Million Junes by Emily Henry. This book I read for my Emily Henry vlog, which I'll leave linked for you, and this was my least favorite, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. Same goes for Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. Once again, I read it for a vlog, and it was my least favorite in that vlog. I gave it 2 stars. This has been on my shelves for a while. Specifically, I really love the cover, but once again, not enough to keep it on my shelves. Oh my god, I'm getting tired, guys. I'm getting tired. The Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series by Ransom Riggs. So I only read the first book, actually, and I didn't enjoy it at all. But I did know that Jesse the Reader, once upon a time, he read the first one, didn't enjoy it, and then he reread it, and suddenly it was one of his favorite series. So I was holding out hope that that was going to happen to me, but I never picked the series up again. So yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen to me. A bunch of Jessica Sorensen books. So I read The Coincidence of Callie and Caden, which I really do love this cover. And I think The Redemption of Callie and Caden, I did really enjoy it, and I all of a sudden bought all of her books. So I bought The Destiny of Violet and Luke and The Secrecy of Alla and Micah, and I never really continued on with this series or continued on with this author, and these books have been on my shelves for such a long time now. And even though technically this is kind of what I'm reading nowadays, so this is like new adult romances, I don't really feel the urge to read these books. They were published a while ago, 2014, so that doesn't usually deter me, but I feel like I never really think about these books, never reread them, and I never really felt the urge to continue on with this series like with other couples. I'm just getting rid of them now. Another Morgan Matson, Since You've Been Gone. This one was fine when I read it. It's definitely not my favorite. I didn't really understand the hype back then. So there's not a chance for me to ever reread this. So there's that. Another Sarah Dessen, What Happened to Goodbye. I believe this is a book that's very popular, but once again, and I bought this on sale too. I don't think I'll ever read this. If I'm gonna be reading a sad contemporary, it's gonna be an adult one. A very popular one, A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett Sinclair. This is very popular, just like From Blood and Ash. I didn't enjoy it at all. So that's why I'm getting rid of it. 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. This was fine. I read it. I think I watched like the first season of the TV show. I don't have any thoughts about this book. Oh my god, this video is gonna be never ending. Then there is the Anna and the French Kiss series. So Anna and the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After. I enjoyed these when they came out, but I've never reread them, not even when I was still like a teenager, young adult. First by Laurie Elizabeth Flynn. This one, actually a romance book too, but really raved about this book. And I bought it, I think on Book Outlet, so it was cheap. But I've never felt the urge to read this book. The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue and The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy. This book I read and I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as other people did. And so I never really planned on reading the sequel, but I did enjoy his sister in this book. So I bought this one and I'm regretting it because I never really read it. Plus, around the time I think I bought this one, some really weird things came out about Mackenzie Lee, so I'm counting my losses. Even though I really love these spines, I don't think I'm gonna continue on with this series. Just One Day and Just One Year by Gail Forman. Once again, young adult contemporary. I've never read these ones, but they have been on my shelves for a while now. I thought I was very interested in them at some point, but now I'm not. Once again, young adult contemporary. I believe this actually, yeah, see? Amsterdam. I believe she falls in love with a Dutch guy, but yeah, I don't care enough, so there's that. The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This is actually a signed Fairy Loot edition. I've never read this book. I own 2 editions of this book, so I will be keeping the other one because I enjoyed that cover more. But there's a chance I'm never going to be reading The Hazelwood because it has been getting, I don't think it's a very popular, a very well-loved book. So I guess we'll see if I will ever read them. Next are 2 Cody Keplinger books. I think I still have The Duff, but these 2 I bought because I really enjoyed The Duff, but I never reread these books. First one is A Midsummer's Nightmare. I believe this is about 2 step-siblings falling in love, and then Shut Out. Yeah, once again, young adult contemporary. I enjoyed The Duff, I really did, but I think I should have just read these around the time I bought them, which is basically the moral of the story here. Read books when you buy them, because there's going to be a time in your life when you're not going to be interested in these books. Noteworthy by Riley Redgate. I think I bought this around the same time I bought Queens of Geeks for this challenge to read as many diverse books as possible. But this is, I believe, a book that is like, I don't know, that movie about a cappella groups. I don't remember what that's called. Yeah, not really interested in it. Once again, a young adult contemporary. This, I think I bought it around the time it came out, which was in 2017. And I never really felt the urge to pick it up. The Light Between Worlds. This I bought a large part because of the cover, and I still think it's very, very beautiful, and a part of me just wants to keep it because of the cover, but I actually read this book and I hated it. I hated it so much, so I don't think that's a good enough reason to keep it. Okay, almost done, guys. Oh my god, I'm getting so tired. Ghosts by Raina Telgemeier. This is a young adult graphic novel that I did really enjoy, but I don't think I'm ever going to reread it, so I think another child will be very happy with this one. Next is The Extraordinaries by T.J. Klune. I love T.J. Klune. The Green Creek series, especially Wolf Song, is one of my favorite books of all time. So I figured, and I really did love The House in the Cerulean Sea, so I figured let's try his young adult book, and I really did love it. I DNF'd it halfway through, and yeah, that's why I'm getting rid of it. This is about superheroes, and I didn't enjoy this book at all. Sea Fire by Natalie C. Parker. This book I read, but I never felt the urge to continue on with the series. It's a book I never think about, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. Wild Cards by Simone Auclas. Simone Auclas used to be one of my favorite authors. I loved 2 of her series, the Perfect Chemistry series and like this other series. Maybe I'll reread them one day, but I actually read this one around the time it came out. I was actually very much anticipating it, and I didn't really enjoy it at all. Well, I mean, I enjoyed it a little bit. 2013 it came out. I enjoyed it, but it was not nearly as good in my opinion as her other series. So yeah, that's why I'm getting rid of this one. And finally, 2 books by Jackson Pearce, Sisters Red and Sweetly. These are both, as you can see, fairy tale retellings. I did enjoy them. I loved Sisters Red more than Sweetly, but I never really continued on with the series. I believe there's 4 books in this series, and I was fine. I don't even know why I still have these. I should have gotten rid of them years ago. Whew! So yeah. These are all the books that I'm getting rid of. I still need to figure out a game plan on how to do that. I think it's going to be a part of them I'll sell, and another part I'll just leave at these like free little libraries around town. If there's a book in here that I've not read yet that you think that I'm doing myself a disservice by not reading, definitely leave that in the comments below. I might listen to it, but there's honestly a good chance that I might not. But you can always try. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely leave me a like if you did. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.